Folks, welcome to another Shop Talk, and we are in Atchison, Kansas here tonight, and we are with Paul Lanfermann, and we're going to talk with Paul just a little bit about his racing. Been at it for just about 20 years. But Paul, first of all, let's talk just a little bit about your dad. From what I understand, he used to run six-cylinder modifieds up around Savannah and in that area.
Yes, he did. He ran up at Savannah, also up at Chillicothe, ran over at Topeka. Ran down at Riverside, and it was we used to get in the car and go whenever it was time to go.
Yeah, it was a very competitive class. What I remember of it when they ran at Riverside, I think I kind of got in on the end of that era. The V8s were just starting to come in when I started going. But I guess we could say you might have been a pit rat. In other words, you were probably one of those kids, that picked up the wrench for your dad, handed it to him, or whatever, found whatever it was he needed.
Yeah, I was pretty much always under his feet. We were whenever Dad was working on the car, I'd be out with him, and we would always. It was just one of those things that I always enjoyed being out there with him.
Yeah, just a little family time.
Oh yes,
you and your dad.
Oh, yes.
It is 1980 though, and you finally do get your chance to get behind the wheel, and you start out in. I'm thinking it was Sportsman late model.
Yes.
And is there anything that stands out in your mind about that first season? I mean, I know they've got to be special because they just do. It's your first time.
Well, it was one of those deals. I just gotten out of high school as a young kid. I was ready to set the world on fire. I was going to go out and just win everything, and it didn't quite happen that way. The older guys that were in the class pretty much let me know that I was a young kid and there was a lot of things to learn, and I did learn a lot of things. I got in the way a lot, and as the time went on, I did get better, and they were always, after that point, they were pretty good with me about explaining things to me, and it really, for starting out as a young man, it was pretty cool how they talked to me.
You give them that respect, you get it back.
Yes, yes, very much so.
A college athlete, played baseball. Now, I'm just going to guess from your stature that you might have been a catcher.
I kind of a utility man. I did whatever I was asked to do. Primarily, I pitched and played third base, and that's one of those things where it kind of like anything else. If I got to play, just stick me out there.
Just put me out there.
Put me out there. Put me out there.
Hand me the glove, whichever one it is.
That's right. That's right.
But at the same time that you're in college, though, you are studying to be a commercial artist.
Yes.
Have you had any of those feelings or whatever come back at all that you wanted to do that? I mean, it must at that time been important. You wanted to do it. It was one of those things. I always enjoyed art. I always liked drawing and different things, photographs and things like that. And even now, my kids will have to draw things for school or something like that, and we'll get involved and make it just probably a little bit more elaborate than what it needs to be. But it's something that I always enjoyed. Okay. At this same time, you guys pick up a copy of a Hal Car. Now, I want to know where you get a copy of a Hal Car.
We got the car from a gentleman here in town named Bud Coffey, who had got a gentleman down in Leavenworth by the name of Dean Ayers, who used to race a lot, had gotten a chassis and built some copies of it with his own little things that he liked on it.
Made his own jig, in other words?
Pretty much so. Yeah. And it was an awesome car. It really was. It was a stock stub car, leaf spring car. So there wasn't too many bars to adjust to get you out in left field, but it was a really good car. We had a lot of luck with it, and it was one of the first real race cars we'd ever actually had, and it was a lot of fun to drive.
Yeah. In '86 through '88, you're running late models at the old Lakeside, and that is about the time that technology in that class was really starting to pick up.
Yes.
And I think the way that I understand it is you weren't necessarily being beat on the track. It was off the track by technology that you guys were falling so far behind.
Yes.
And just a tough time.
Yeah, it was. They'd taken the old Sportsman class at Lakeside and combined them with the late models.
Oh, wow.
And the late models, like the technology of the late models was really starting to come on there. The different ways of the suspensions under the cars and motor placement, motors, and everything like that. So we were behind quite a bit. We kept trying to get up there, but it was everything that we thought we updated was actually stuff that they'd run the year before.
Right.
So I mean, we thought we were doing better, but we just couldn't keep up.
Just a step behind.
Yes, very much so.
Also, boy, that was the time when that late model class at Lakeside had some tremendous drivers. I mean, Super Joe Wallace, Gene Claxton, probably Rick Beebe.
The Kosinski brothers were down there. It was quite a group of people. I mean, Tom Hurst would come down from Iowa every once in a while. Doug Richards, Jake's dad, was in the late model at that time, and they were all super competitive individuals, and it was a fun class to be in. But like you said, we were just always a little bit step behind.
In '89, you guys decided you give up the late model, sell that out. And in '89, you decide to buy a modified, and you start racing up at Mayetta. And that year isn't probably the year you want to have. Actually, you literally and figuratively hit the wall up there in that it just about takes you guys out for the season. Yeah,
we hit the wall. The car got tore up pretty good, and it just got to the point where we'd been working on things all year long, and really we'd do well, then we'd struggle, we'd do well, and we'd struggle, and then the car got tore up, and I pretty much told Dad at the time, I said, I'm really not having a whole lot of fun right now, so we just need to liquidate a whole lot of stuff. So we pretty much called it quits for a little while, but a very little while. Yeah. Then we got back into it. It was one of them deals where we weren't going to race anymore, but my wife talked to my dad and pretty much told my dad we needed to get another race car because I was kind of hard to get along with.
Get him out of the house. Let's get a race car. Thunderhill, Osborne, and now Lakeside. You've run both the old Lakeside and the new Lakeside pretty much in the same class. Cars, Grand Nationals, late models, difference in horsepower, tires, stuff like that. But can you give me an idea of how it was to run both tracks? Lakeside, such a storied old track, the old one. Gee whiz, some of the best drivers and cars in the nation run there at one time or another.
Yes.
And like I say, you were one of those few individuals that ran both tracks. Can you give me an idea of what it was like to run at the old Lakeside, maybe in comparison to the new Lakeside?
The old Lakeside had just very long straightaways, and you could just there was a lot of, you would just keep your foot all the way down. It's a lot like the Lakeside is now, but you carry so much speed in the corners down there that we were coming off the short tracks and stuff, and we'd be halfway down the front straightaway, and I kept thinking we needed to start kicking the car out a little bit, and we weren't even where we needed to do it yet. So it was just one of those places that was just horsepower, and it was a fun place to race, and there was some of the best people that raced cars down there, and it was just an awesome place. And the hill was pretty cool with all the barbecues going on at the time. So.
I was probably one of those people up there, maybe on the third tier, because it always seemed like I got there late. Oh, shoot. Has there been a favorite moment in racing for you?
Yes, probably the famous. I consider my famous point, or my most favorite part, is I won a feature up at Savannah. And when I won that feature at Savannah, it was always a pretty cool, big thing for me. My dad raced up there. A lot of his friends raced up there when he was racing. And it was just one of those things where we enjoyed it. It was just a pretty cool deal.
Paul, we're getting down to where just about to the end, and I know there's some people you really want to thank.
Yes, I do. I need to thank my mom and my dad. My mom and dad are awesome. My dad, Paul Sr., and my mom, Marge, they're just great people. I don't know what I'd do without them. My beautiful wife, Teresa, and my kids, Tyson, Gunnar, and Kaylin, they support me pretty good, really, really good, and it's great having them. Larry Cook, my father-in-law up in Dawson, Nebraska, he builds my motors. He's just other than my dad, I can ask him any questions, and we can always try to figure out problems. Alan and Diana Hunley here in town, they own Sunsetters. They're helping us out this year, and I really appreciate all the help they're giving us. Mick and Mitch West from here in town, they're helping us out a lot too, and not to mention Ray and Jody Scott.
Yeah. Well, folks, we're going to have to wrap it up for Shop Talk here in Atchison. And Paul, thanks a lot for your time, and I really appreciate you sitting down with us.
Thank you very much.